The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Hi, I'm Claire Mazer.
And I'm Erica Cerullo. We're the co-hosts of a podcast called A Thing or Two. It comes out every Monday, and the basic premise is this. We share all the stuff we think more people should know about.
So that's apps, recipes, books, the nationwide Haagen-Dazs vanilla bean shortage that nobody else was talking about.
No one.
Our preferred vacuum brands, of which we have multiples, and critical explorations of our unique approaches to paper towel usage.
Listen, we think you're going to like it. A lot of people do. And who's to say you'll be any different? Listen and subscribe wherever it is you listen and subscribe to podcasts.
This is the Shady Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Balsham. Come with me down this dark tunnel of crime, grime, ghosts, cults, creeps, and criminals. We're going to have fun, I promise. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Shady Shit Podcast. It's me, Casey Balsham, coming to you live from the floor of my dad's house. This is where every time I do these intros, guys, I try to do it from a different area, give you a different energy. And floor of my dad's house, I got to tell you, definitely one of the weirder ones. Looking at pictures, old pictures. He's got a couple of my old checkbooks that I inexplicably saved from, probably the early 2000s. So I don't know. Did you guys have that thing though? Like my mom made me so paranoid about throwing away anything with my info on it that I probably have every bank document anybody's ever sent to me from banks that like don't even exist anymore. And I'm like, no, they'll find me. They're going to steal my identity. And at this point, have it. What are you're going to get a podcast and a couch from Bob's Discount Furniture, You can have it. Anyway, I just got back. I was in the woods for a couple days. I call it my cult meeting. It is a vacation I've gone on since I was little, but it's, I can't even describe it to you. It's just a bunch of people who wear Giants and 49ers gears who get together in the woods, sing oldies, play a weird card game that is only played in certain areas of San Francisco, and everybody's really tall. So, and on Saturday night, we all eat meat under the moon. Is that a cult? It's the cult of the Father's Day Pines. Anyway, you can ask me questions. I'll tell you more about it. But updates, obviously, the Courtney Stodden and Chrissy Teigen episode. Thank you guys for your feedback. It is a crazy one, but the Michael Costello thing, since the episode has been released, it has come out that possibly what he said about Chrissy Teigen is all fucking bullshit. And he made up the text messages and he made up the emails. Also, there was a whole drama with like Leona Lewis, which I didn't really look that much into, but I did see a story from another guy who was like, all right, Michael Costello, do you remember when you sexually harassed me and sent me a collage of dick pics when I was going through chemotherapy? What? So you guys, are we going to do an episode on Michael Costello? I don't even fucking know. Oh my God. I still have some really fun episodes coming. I keep having to reschedule with a really fun guest that I'm excited to have on. But today's episode, we're going to get to it because I have my friend Julio on. And I went in there. I was supposed to talk about one thing. And then me and him ended up just like bullshitting about relationships and dating people's moms and travel. So I just let it be. So we got a little bit of everything in there. But I love Julio. He's got one of the best voices to like listen to. You'll hear it. It's great. He's great. Follow him. He co-hosts the Whoops podcast with Francis, who I had on a couple weeks ago. And again, we start with UFOs and we end with dating moms. So I hope the journey finds you well, my friends. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Shady Shit Podcast. In-person interview with a pal and a friend, fellow comedian, Julio Gallerati. Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to be here. Good to be in your apartment. I always love seeing where people live.
I know, right?
It's very interesting always.
In New York, I feel like we don't get to see, like in LA, I feel like I went to people's houses all the time.
Right.
And maybe it's just because they didn't live in a room.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in New York, we're all so used to just like hiding in one bedroom that we don't invite people over.
No, totally.
But I love seeing people's houses as well.
It's great.
So welcome. Hello.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad that you could do it in person.
It's also nice, sorry to interrupt you. It's nice to see that people live well. Like I like
grown-ups.
Yeah, I like that you like have a home, you know? Like I've been to people's houses and I've just been shocked with how disgusting it is.
Yeah.
Like so disgusting to the point where it's like, this can never not be disgusting. This is how disgusting it is.
Even if you cleaned it.
Yeah, even if you cleaned it, you need like a professional team of many people to come and professionally disinfect and clean this apartment.
Yeah. This is why,
are you serious?
Yeah. I like I've always been somebody that like lived above my means because I always thought it was important to like my house, like where I lived. So I've never been able to save money or do anything because I've always just paid rent, you know, between here and LA and Hawaii. But
wait, Hawaii?
Yeah. I lived in Hawaii for 3 years.
Before I met you in LA?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was in LA, Hawaii, then LA. When I started comedy and then here.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but none of these places you save money. They're all fucking expensive as shit. But this is where I get into some trouble because I like my house. Like I could turn Grey Gardens in 2 seconds. Like if this pandemic lasted another 3 years, I'd be like, fuck, I love it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I could easily just stay in my house forever. So there's almost part of me that's like, I need to rough it up a bit so I don't want to be here.
I like that.
Yeah.
I feel you.
If I'm on the couch and I have a spot, I'll be like, I mean, the couch is really nice.
The couch is really nice. You guys, I feel like I'm one of the handful of people who knew both of you guys in LA, like
I know
kind of well.
I know.
And then now you're like full on New York people.
I know.
That's like a rare transition.
I know. We've been here for now 7 years and there are still a couple people that I forget that we met back in the day.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I know. Now I feel like I don't even remember not being in New York.
Totally.
Like when I visit LA, I'm like, what is this place? Like I forget that it was like, I was all over that town for fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I love it here. I mean, it smells and it's just kind of part of everything.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm excited. I'm excited that we're back up and running.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a little bit about something in the news that is happening. So I want to ask you, do you believe in aliens, UFOs?
Like, yeah.
Like, yeah.
You know, I don't like, and I don't want this to sound like I don't want to talk about it because I absolutely do.
Okay.
It's an interesting thing to talk about, but I just like whether or not they exist isn't interesting to me.
Right.
You know, like.
Right. You're like, your life doesn't change whether or not aliens are coming down or not.
If they exist, great. If they don't, whatever. It seems improbable that they wouldn't exist with how many millions and billions and trillions of fucking galaxies or whatever there are, you know. But it is also funny that people always paint aliens as like, they're either really smart, like smarter than us in some way that we can't even comprehend yet, and they're from the future. But like their goal is always to destroy us, to conquer and destroy. Why does that have to be the goal? Maybe they're nice.
So here's the thing. What I researched, and we'll talk about it. But I apparently kind of our depiction of aliens kind of started from this one main alien abduction story that we're going to talk about from this couple. That was like...
Is it an old story?
It's just from the 60s. Like it's not even that old. But they were the first people to kind of describe them as like these gray beings that erased your memory and that probed you. According to like this one psychologist, he was like, before this, we thought aliens were nice. Like there was aliens that used to just come here for the weekend and then go back home during the week. And I was like, okay, this makes me not believe in fucking anything. That there's like a psychologist from California that was like, yeah, we have some weekend dwellers, aliens. They come in, you know, they go to Great America, whatever.
They hop on the early Friday morning flight.
Yeah, I was like, as soon as I read that, like every credibility, all the credibility went out of anything that I believed in aliens. But it's just since it's in the news right now because the Pentagon is obviously, they've said, hey, this shit's real. But what I found very interesting about this story is that UFOs don't necessarily mean aliens. And that was their whole thing.
Because there's this announcement coming or something, right?
Yeah. So they released this like video that looks like a fucking sonogram. It looks like a tiny baby, like the sky.
Well, was that the one from earlier in the pandemic?
It's from 2019. So it could have been.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. But then like it's hard to decipher what is real and what isn't because there's so much clickbait alien shit always.
I know.
That I kind of just like disregarded that one even though apparently I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it affects it. Like it doesn't affect us. And me and Robbie were even saying it's like not even a top 10 news story right now. Like we're more interested in Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez than we are in this fucking Pentagon thing. Also, it's like I don't think any of us really like the government that much right now. So the fact that they're like, we got stuff for you. We're like, we don't give a shit. Like You guys suck. So, like, why do we care? So, but they're saying basically that this video is real. They're saying that the military actually sees UFOs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why they're worried about this now is because they can't explain it. They think it could be like Russia or China. So this is the whole thing why they're like, we're only getting into this because
we don't think it's Russia or China?
No, because we want to, it could be a threat. Like there's these things flying in the air around our country.
Or whatever.
Yeah. So they're not saying like they're not confirming that there's aliens. What they are confirming is that there's fucking shit flying all around.
Okay. Because I saw, you know Wally Collins?
Yeah.
I saw him yesterday and he is the one who started telling me about this, but he said it in a much more like, he's like, there are aliens and they're announcing it. Roswell is really for aliens. And I'm like, all right.
Well, here's the thing. I do, just like you said, I think that there's too much out there for us to believe that we're the only fucking things that know how to exist.
It's the idea of it is crazy, right?
I mean, because truly, we're not even that great at what we do. Like, there's got to be somebody doing it better than us that aren't like destroying their planet, that don't have plastic everywhere. But I think that the government's got like a fucking file cabinet just full of like bleep bloop like personality, like full. I think they've met them. I think they know them. I think we've got an agreement. I think something's going on. So the fact that but I don't think they're going to tell us about that.
They have first and last names.
I think that they've got middle names. I think they have got full on families up there. Like I think that there's some shit happening. But it was interesting that this announcement is separating the two. They're not going full cuckoo bananas like, we got visitors, but they are saying, yeah, we've seen shit. They were actually saying that military flyers and things like that. Flyers is probably not the right word. Military flyers.
Military aircraft. Is that what you meant?
There we go.
Did you mean flyers like they're stapling them to poles?
Yeah. They're actually just a bunch of red wagons and red flyers. But no, that military planes and things see them every day for years. They've seen
some kind of UFO, which like you said isn't necessarily an alien.
No, it's just literally an unidentified flying object. Yes. But they've seen them every day for years.
Wow.
Which makes me feel
stressed.
Yes, it makes me feel very stressed. And then the fact that, they're trying to put this on that, are these people flying around because they want to like bomb us or what? I don't know.
What are they doing up there?
Why are they flying? So
that is moderately stressful. But I don't, we, like you said, we're a destructive species.
We are.
What's the word for when like, I forget what this is called, but like, for example, I have pet hippos and they escape and now hippos have no like species that can threaten them. So they just multiply and destroy the ecosystem. It's called invasive species.
Okay.
I think.
I like that you picked hippos though, because I just was thinking of hippos being like, what if they're just wild hippos in New York? And I just couldn't, I was wrapping my head around picturing just hippos in Central Park. And I was like, wait a second.
So the example is, Pablo Escobar, I think that actually happened. Pablo Escobar's estate, he had hippos that were foreign.
That's right.
And that was like a recent story, right?
Yes.
So we are like the ultimate invasive species in a way. We just like destroy ecosystems left and right. We destroyed literally the world. It's pretty fucked up.
We suck.
We really are not. We're not that good.
I want to go to a different planet. Like, let me start over. If there's cheese there, like I can live anywhere. Like truly, if there's cheese, if I can play.
You guys are big travelers.
We are.
You and Robbie.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry that I keep saying we as if this is his podcast too.
It's okay.
Robbie is Casey's husband. He's a great guy. I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you on that. And whenever I travel anywhere, I feel that way. I feel that like the otherworldly clarity that you get is like the most priceless feeling. And I honestly am addicted to it.
I know. I know. That's why, champagne problems with this past year without being able to kind of expand and go see some other shit. I felt very much like, I hate it here.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. It's not even like Americans. Like, we're all ruining everything, but it is nice to go just be with a little bit of less ruining. Like we're just such consumers in America. We just have so much we have so much plastic. We have so much seamless. Yeah. Like
there's a lot of stuff. There's so many toothpastes.
There's
why? I don't. Yeah, it is. It seems unnecessary.
There's a lot of toothpaste.
The downsides of capitalism. Yeah,
that there's too much.
So many products.
And I'm like, do I have cavities or do I need whitening? I don't know. Am I sensitive? I don't fucking.
Yeah,
there is too much.
The dentist fucked up my teeth. This is a sore subject. No pun intended. they did my cavities and I had 3 cavities for the first time.
Yeah.
And they did them all wrong. Like I can't floss in any of the teeth without it hurting. So like, I don't know what to do.
I mean, I have a full-on fake tooth, Julia.
Whoa.
Like we're in the same boat.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I just took out my tooth for Julia. So
That was
they know I talk a
incredible.
lot about not putting in my teeth, but this is a bad root canal.
Wow.
Yeah. Then my tooth fell out of my head.
Oh my God.
So we got married so I can get on insurance.
Oh my God.
But we also love each other.
And you also love each other.
Yeah.
That's good.
So there's that too.
You guys been together a long time.
I know. Since we've been here.
And it works.
I know. Well, we kind of just, we've never not lived together. So we just figured it out.
Yeah.
So we moved here as friends and then we're like,
oh, really?
yeah.
And you lived together as friends?
Yeah.
And then started fucking,
Immediately.
And
Started fucking immediately.
No, I didn't even I actually wasn't saying like fucking. I mean like fucking.
Yeah, no, but you were right.
But that too.
Immediately. Yeah. Kind of
Right.
like night one. We just we're like, oh, well, make out. And then we were like, I guess we're married now.
Yeah.
So
There's
we
no
did it.
turning back.
But yeah, I hate dentists. I don't think I've ever not had a problem at a dentist. I have the one that I like now that's doing this implant is good. But I went to a dentist and they told me that I had 4 cavities. Then I went to another one and the guy was like, you have no cavities. She was going to make me come in and get 4 separate fucking cavity fillings.
Yeah, because they don't do it at the same time. I had 3.
No.
1, 2, 3. And fuck. I'm thinking about just never going to the dentist again.
I want to just go to Turkey and yank all my teeth and get new ones.
You can do that there?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is that like the best place to do it?
Yeah, you get like big old like
White veneers?
blue veneers. Yeah.
But with the veneers, don't they just shave down your existing teeth?
Yeah, but then they put big old fake ones on it.
Why Turkey?
I don't know. I saw a guy on Love Island did it and his teeth looked really good.
Wow.
I think they do everything in Turkey. I think you can get hair, you can get teeth, you can get tits, you can do whatever you want. You can become a new person in Turkey.
Wow. Brazil too. People
Yeah.
are very vain there too. But I think for Brazil, it's like, I don't know about teeth, but I know that everybody there has braces and fake boobs and like they have, I'm serious. And like,
I love that they have braces and fake boobs. They're like, I'm a kid, but I want these tits.
they also have good like gender transition surgery. Like people go down
And
there
more
who are-
affordable.
Yeah. So it's like, have you ever been there?
I have not been to Brazil.
It's like, it's funny. It's like LA a lot of ways. Like you'll just be walking down the boardwalk. There's people doing dips on the sidewalk. Like people
like
are,
Venice.
yeah, people are using the neighborhood as their gym.
I'm not opposed to getting surgery. I mean, obviously, everything here is so fucking expensive. I've said this many times, but I want all the surgeries.
Like
You
what?
know,
Like
Everything. I would get a fake butt.
Really?
Oh my God, I want everything.
you think Robbie would be cool with you having a fake butt?
I think, he likes me for my mind, Julia.
Oh, I actually believe that. But also, I feel like,
Because clearly he doesn't like me for my smile, missing a fucking tooth.
well, I couldn't tell. I had no idea. But I feel like I'm just completely judging Robbie and,
do it.
and making up
I
what
do
he
it
would
all the
think.
time.
But I think that he would not prefer your fake butt, but if it made you feel better about yourself, he'd be fine with it.
That's actually right on.
Is it?
He's like, if you want a fake butt for you.
Come on, I know people.
I
all right,
do, I know these
people
guys.
or what?
No, that's actually 100% true. If I got a fake butt, Robbie'd be like, I mean, I don't care, but if you like it.
Yeah.
But no, I want tits, I want an ass, I want all of it. I wanted my feet smaller. Listen, any kind of surgery that they would do, I would fucking do. Make my eyebrows go to my forehead.
Smaller
I don't care.
feet.
I've said it before. Like I've lived with this face a long time, so if I got a whole new one, let's
You
try it
be fine
out.
with it?
New face. After the wedding, after I pop out a kid, hopefully, then fucking let's change everything.
Yeah,
Let's really confuse.
listen.
Let's really confuse everyone.
Fuck it. Why
And then
not?
when the aliens come down, they won't be able to find me, because they'll be like, we thought your nose was much more bumpy. I'm going to be like, not anymore.
This is not her.
They're like, we thought you had a mustache. I'm like, burned it, bitch. That's also what I would do. I would spend a month in another country just to burn all the hair out of my body. Every single part of it.
You can do that here too, though, right? Are you
know.
hairy?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I've been given many gifts, but being hairless is not one of them.
What is your like ethnic background?
So I'm just like a white mutt. Like I'm Irish, German, Welsh, Russian, which I found out is actually like Russian, like full on like Russian Jews, but I didn't know about that till like 2 years ago. So I'm a new Jew. But none of the ones that would make you hairy. Like people are always like, oh, you're Persian, you're Italian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not. I just have a mustache.
What's Robbie?
Robbie is, his mom's Israeli, his dad's South African.
Oh, I forgot that he has like the crazy international
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he's like, he's we both got a lot of shit happening.
Cool.
Yeah, that's why we had to take all the blood tests to make sure that none of like the Ashkenazi shit would like, make a kid come out with like 7 heads or something.
Yes.
Whatever the tests do, that's what we had to do. But yeah, I mean, we don't want an alien kid bringing it back to an alien abduction story. Are you ready for it? But Casey and Julio never did get back to the abduction story. Sorry, y'all, we were bullshitting. So I just wanted to pause real quick and give you that story before we get back to the conversation. So first alien abduction story that was widely publicized. It was a couple named Barney and Betty Hill. It was in kind of a rural area around Vermont. And their story came right on the heels of a military base reporting that there had been an object that was just seen in the air for 18 whole minutes. There was just something there, 18 minutes, and then it was gone. 18 minutes is basically like the same amount of time of like a TV show without the commercials. I mean, I think they're usually 22 minutes, but you throw in an extra commercial about plaque psoriasis or we are farmers, bum, 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 and sometimes you get an 18-minute show. So that's how long that thing was there, right? So that happens. And then very shortly after, this is 1961, by the way. So it's neither that far away nor that close. It can be kind of either thing that you're thinking. But it is kind of the first time we had people describing aliens, describing a ship, and describing what happened on that ship. And since this story, this is kind of how we have always depicted aliens, kind of based on the groundwork given by this couple. So this is the story. So they're driving. It's 10:30 at night. They're kind of, they're on a highway in the middle of nowhere. They're the only ones on the road. There's trees on the sides. You've seen, you know what I'm doing. You can't see my hand, but my hand is doing a winding road type thing. You know what I'm saying. You've been to summer camp. You've driven there. You know what I mean. So they're driving and they see flashing lights in the distance. But this isn't like a plane or like a tower. This isn't like a flashing lights thing where you're driving and it stays in the same spot. They're driving. This thing is like playing with it. This thing is bouncing in between trees and getting close to them and then going farther away. This thing is like like you're the baby. Like the hills were the babies, and this thing was like the person in the seat in front of them on the airplane that was like peekaboo, peekaboo. Like this is what's happening. This thing is clearly interacting with them. This is not just a flashing light of randomness. So they're driving. It's weird. They're like, you know what? This doesn't feel right. So they stop the car. They've got binoculars in the car because I guess this is before cell phones. So this is what people did for fun. They were like, you know what? Have you seen the top of that tree? Do you want to? Here you go. So they get out binoculars. They see that this is like a 40-foot disc. There's windows. There is gray, like humanoid figures with big black eyes, and there's flashing colorful lights. And Barney, gets out a gun and goes out. And then, you realize you've got a gun and you're looking at something the size of a jet. I think quickly he was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work. But not only that, he claims that he hears somebody say like, put down the gun, put down the binoculars. And basically kind of like he's unable to like lift his arm. And they're like, no fucking way. See you later. Get back in the car, and they start booking it, right? So they say that they're booking it, and all of a sudden they hear beeps and they see flashing, and then they blacked out. They come to 2 hours later, 35 miles away from where they were driving, and have no memory of what's happening. They get home and like they're just kind of like, what the fuck was that, man? Like Barney's shoes are scuffed, Betty's dress is kind of fucked up, and they had this overwhelming sense that they should like examine their bodies, like check out their bodies, because they're like, we don't know what happened, but we feel dirty. So it wasn't until like a couple years later, after having like massive anxiety attacks and dreams and kind of hallucinations, that they end up getting in to see a psychiatrist, like a psychiatrist that specializes in hypnosis. Because I think after you see an alien, it might be okay to go to fucking therapy, Barney and Betty. Get your ass in therapy. I go to therapy for way less than seeing aliens. All right? Somebody hurt my feelings in 8th grade. I'm in therapy. Jesus, go to therapy, guys. Anyway, so they go to this guy and their accounts are the same. And they end up like kind of telling this a story of being on a metal table and being probed, and they took their fingernails and they took their hair and they scratched their skin. And, aliens were essentially like, give me cookie, got you cookie. I don't know what you are either. Do you understand? Like, we're aliens, but we also don't know what the fuck this is. We don't know what fingernails are. Give me some of those. So they said they also, like Betty said, that they probed her stomach and like a weird pregnancy test that hurt really bad. So this was their account. Betty also says that they both talk about a leader watching from the side, but this is one of the holes that people, because obviously people were like, this didn't happen. There's like so many doctors that were like, we can tell you why smart people make up stories. Because that's the thing, is that these weren't crazy people. Barney was like super, super smart. He had a very high IQ. People are like, he's very pragmatic. He's not somebody that would have like given UFOs or aliens even a second thought. Like, he's the guy that would have been like, no, fuck no. But one of the holes that people poked in their story was that Betty recalls the leader being like friendly, and that she joked with him, and that when she was kind of like, where are we? Or where did you guys come from? And in one of her like dream states or hallucinations, no, one of her hypnosis states, she like drew a star map that she remembers seeing from him as to where they were. But Barney recalls the guy was more like menacing. Like he describes him as Hitler. Obviously, when you're hallucinating, I'm sure there's different parts of your brain that you kind of assign this main alien to. Like there's probably some other shit going on in both their brains that they get a little bit mixed up in the story. But there was just so many doctors and psychiatrists that were like, these guys are quacks. These guys are crackpots, all this stuff. And people were like, very smart people sometimes can make up these stories as a way for this. And they were also a biracial couple, which at that time, wasn't widely accepted. And so there were people that were like, oh, they made the aliens gray because that's the color that black and white make, which is fucking bullshit. Or, it could have been an alien goddamn abduction. So there's many, many theories. There is one psychiatrist that believed him that said, throughout the many years that I spoke to them, that these stories were told, they never faltered in their stories. They never, even though he saw this leader as one way and she saw the leader as another way, the stories of what happened never faltered. So there's that. And then it turns out that Betty said that she ended up kind of, I think, being visited a few times. And again, that's one of the things where I go, okay, you're an alien. You're going to go visit Betty a few times. You already know her. Like, you saw her. You got her skin. You got her fingernails. Move on. There's other Bettys, Go find another person to play with. I don't know. But she ended up becoming kind of like very, very big into UFO research and kind of got very involved in the community, which, something like this happens. You go, I'll ask a couple more questions. I'll do some research. She lived to be about 84, 80 something, and he ended up dying in his 40s. But yeah, up for interpretation. Look it up. All right, getting back to the conversation with Julio. Have you ever had any shady experiences traveling or anything like that? Have you ever? Tell me.
But like what kind, like in what kind of shady experience?
Just anything, like being
sketchy situations,
showing up to something that hasn't been what it said, like
just
right. Anything like that. Like being in a situation where you were like, this could go one of two ways and let's hope it goes good.
Yes. I mean, like plenty. Nothing that like, and it's always stuff that sounds worse than it really was. Like I got detained in the airport in Russia.
That sounds worse.
Which sucked, but it's not as bad as it sounds. Like my visa was just fucked up. So like they weren't going to let me in the country, but they couldn't tell me what they were doing because nobody really spoke English that well enough to like explain the nuances of the situation.
Yeah.
So they handed me this like Cyrillic document and essentially they were sending me back to America and I didn't know that. And they were just waiting.
Were you supposed to stay longer?
I was supposed to be in Russia. And they were just sending me back to America. I was like, because my visa started in 2 days.
They're like, nope, turn around.
They're like, yeah, we're sending you back.
Turn around. So
then I sit there for like 8 hours and eventually I like find the guy who's helping me. I'm like, if I buy my own flight, can I leave? He was like, sure. And I was like, you weren't going to tell me that? Like you weren't going to like lay out the options for me. You were just going to send me back to America and not try to at least help me problem solve or something, whatever. Yeah. So then I just went on some like crazy detour for a few days. One of my girlfriend, her sister was helping open this hotel in Turkey. So I just went there for 2 days and then went back to Russia. but like was detained in the airport in Russia for like, I don't know, 8 hours or something. Then when I finally got to Russia, this is a sketchy thing. I was meeting up with my dad, who was there for like a work. He's a professor. He was like doing some like international conference or something. And they're like, be careful of pickpockets in St. Petersburg. There's a bunch of pickpockets. And I literally
say that about everywhere you travel, by the way.
I know.
I've never been knock on wood, but I've never been pickpocketed.
Same, knock on wood. Okay. But I saw a guy in the process of pickpocketing my dad.
No.
I saw a man with his hand in my dad's back pocket.
No.
Yeah. And we made eye contact. And then the guy did this like Jedi mind trick, which like he just very quickly went and started to start talking to someone as our group continued moving, like before I could realize what had just happened. And I wasn't sure if this guy with who he was talking to is a person that he was in cahoots with, or if he just saw me see him and he didn't care and he wasn't doing it on purpose, or if he was just pretending to talk to somebody so that I would get kind of like disoriented.
Yeah, because they're good.
If it was a half a second later that I saw him, dad's wallet's gone. And my dad had like a bunch of cash in his wallet, like old school.
But he didn't
travel with cash.
But they didn't take it.
They didn't get it. And it's funny, the guy looked like my dad. Like I always picture pickpockets, they're going to be like Aladdin or something. You know what I mean? Some shoeless
like,
kid.
This guy didn't even have a monkey with him.
Yeah, this guy had glasses. This guy was 60 and had glasses and was bald. My dad isn't bald, but like he looked like a professor.
That's wild.
Yeah. I had a bunch, that trip sucked. Like it was really fun once I was in Russia. Like I did a bunch of really dope shit. Yeah. But like, here's another example. My dad fucking lost his cell phone at the Hermitage at the museum. He's like, can you go look for it? He was already on a plane back. I'm like, Dad, just buy a new phone when you get back.
Right.
I was like, but fine, I'll go for you. So I go, and then his phone's obviously gone. I then try to get to the train station. I was going to Finland, and there was some parade, so I missed my train. And when you miss a train in Russia, do not miss a train in Russia because it's really confusing to get on the next one. Because they're like, there's no next train tomorrow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Next train tomorrow. And some lady in line, thank God, heard me. She's like, there are more trains. You just have to know how to ask for them. I'm like, how would I know how to ask?
Well, tell me how to ask for them.
So essentially like the tour agencies book all the train tickets, but then they don't always show up for them. But you'd think the person would tell me that, but they don't. Like there's no customer service. They help you? So just like, usually it's like logistical issues with travel problems. Again, knock on wood because famous last words. But for the most part, I've never felt in danger or threatened or like had a gun to my fucking head. I'm like, we're just knocking on wood all episode.
I know.
And I hope to never have to deal with that. But, you know, I don't see it being any more likely anywhere else than it is here type of thing, you know?
Yeah. I think my most shady shit has happened like here. I was in Vegas, of course. And I was like at a bachelorette party, but like a couple other of my friends were there. So I was like leaving the bachelorette party, go meet up with friends. Hey, you know, it's Vegas. You're just never not buzzed, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're just always a little bit buzzed. And I'm pretty like chatty anyway. Like I will like bullshit with people and see what I can get away with and see what I can get, you know, like all this shit. So I'm like leaving one hotel. I see all the taxis lined up and I see a couple limos lined up. And so I go to the limo driver. I'm like, can you take me down the block? He's like, no. And I'm like, just take me down the block. I was like, come on, I'll give you like $40 or something like that. It's like, might as well. I'm like, buzz. I'm like, we're gonna take a look. So again, the guy decides, he's like, okay, let's do it. And I'm literally just going from hotel to hotel. Again.
Which hotels are these? Like which hotel did you leave?
I think I probably, where were we staying? I think we were staying in Paris and somebody else was down the way. Okay. Like it would have been a 5-minute car ride or maybe, you know, Vegas, you have to like turn around a lot and like you can't go like
loop
everything.
Around the strip,
you always have to loop around. So it might've been 5 to fucking at the most 8 minutes. So I get in this this limo and I'm kind of like sitting by the, like talking to him, you know, just being like, like asking him stuff. I think we started talking about like smoking weed or something. And I noticed that I'm like, it's like 10 minutes, it's 15 minutes or whatever. And then I kind of start to look around and I notice we're not on the strip. We're not on the strip at fucking all.
Oh, baby.
And I look around and we like are parked in a parking lot.
Jesus.
I know. And he comes in the back seat.
What?
Thank God he didn't lock the door. Like he was too stupid. Like this must have been his first attempt at assault or something.
Oh my
like,
God.
He didn't lock.
He was going to like rape you?
I think he just thought we were like going to smoke pot and hook up. And I was like, no, I don't have pot. Like I don't. And I looked around, I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I mean, like he wasn't like forceful. He kind of sat on the other side and looked at me and I was like, no. And I literally like flew the door open and ran to a Taco Bell where I saw a cab driver. I was like, please, can you take me to the strip? And the guy was like, I was like, this is what just happened. Please, I just need to get the fuck out of here. And he was pissed because I made him leave the drive-through line. Like he's like, can I at least get my chalupa or whatever?
No.
But it was so crazy. I was like, oh yeah, being a woman sucks. Like I forgot about that. But it was like the craziest thing because I put myself in a little bit of a thing, but I thank God I wasn't like that drunk that I did.
Yeah.
But that was,
Jesus.
Good old Vegas. I just thought I was getting away with taking a limo down the road.
That's wild. I remember
know.
Vegas, like living in that kind of climate, it really like fucks your skin up.
Yes.
Like obviously.
Yes.
So like people who have lived there for a really long time, they always look really like older than they are.
Yes.
Or they just kind of look like, I don't know, like I'll always be
concerned all the time.
Not to be a dick. I just think like most of the Uber drivers that I've had in Vegas, and it sounds like this was a pre-Uber time that this story is from.
Yeah.
But they just look like they've seen better days type of thing. And I don't know if it's from the air or from like working in and around Vegas or whatever it is. But one time I called an Uber and I'm waiting for it. And this man starts approaching me. And I was like, dude, sorry, I don't have any money. And he was like, I'm your Uber driver.
What?
And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm sorry. Like this guy, he just like looked homeless, but he like wasn't. He was the Uber driver. And he was coming to get my attention because he like saw me on the app or whatever. And then it was my Uber driver. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank God, because you
so
never fucking know. Because that's also the thing when you travel, people are always like, only go in the official lines. Like don't do this. Because everywhere you travel too, it's like, I know in a lot of like Eastern Europe countries, the cab drivers are like paid off by the government. Like there's a whole thing so that they
like
just like, it's a total racket.
In Russia, that's a hack.
Yeah.
Never take a taxi from the airport. Always call an Uber.
Yeah.
It's the taxi. They'll charge you like $200 and it should be like a $20 Uber.
Right. They all say that, but also sometimes like we were in Eastern Europe when it was the middle of winter. We were like, we're cold. We have to like get in a taxi.
Where were you guys?
We did Budapest, Vienna, Prague, and then went over to Brussels.
Cool.
And that was cool. I did that with my dad and my sister. And then I went back to Budapest in the summer, which is the coolest fucking place.
I heard it's great.
Yes, but still a little grimy like Eastern Europe. And that's where, you know what's random about that place? I actually got the same Uber driver in the winter and in the summer.
That's crazy.
So it was like this
How'd
guy.
You even remember?
So because I'm fucking crazy and I just recognized him. So it was like the same, like he worked for like a couple different Airbnbs and I must have rented from like the same type of like Airbnb group or something.
Got
so like this guy's, and I was like, you took me last time. I was like, do you also work for this guy Michael's place? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, yeah, you drove me, and he didn't remember me. He wasn't like, oh, you and your dad. Oh, cool. Welcome back to my country. Like he didn't give a fuck. But I was like, oh, I know people in Budapest now. Like, I thought I was like the mayor. But that's a place where I could see that things could still get like shady because it's not super traveled yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's still like Eastern Europe-y where you could be like, oh, somebody dropped fucking something in my bag. Like you could easily broke down Palace there. I think.
Right.
Like even when we were walking, there was guys like walking by being like, hey, papi, marijuana. Like all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's not like, I haven't had too many, there's definitely been times traveling where I've thought I've like booked the cheapest plane and then been on that and been like, this is going to crash.
Just like get on a random airline. No, totally. I've had that thought too. You're just like in an old plane. You're like, fuck.
Yeah. Like, have you ever been to Thailand?
No.
Okay. Traveling between Thailand, you are on like these weird boats and these weird tiny planes. And there was definitely times where I'm like, there's people in the middle of this ocean. Like there's for sure not a lot of people have made it out. Like these planes, like, cause you're like literally on the plane and it's like, it's going like, rah, like it's making a noise that like not even, like I would take a car in if it was making that noise. And you're just like, you're on it and you just feel like you're on like a rickety old roller coaster. So, but I've definitely made it. Thailand is one of those one that's a little bit, it's so beautiful, but it's still such a poor country that like we've seen, like when I was there 10 years ago, like it's like I saw guys like hitting women in the street.
Really?
Shit like that.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then they all have these rackets of like in Thailand and in like Bali and stuff like that. They have women that sit with children, but they're like not their children.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which seems very, who's giving kids to people to be like, oh, you need
leasing
to borrow,
children,
you need to borrow my child.
Borrow the child, split the profits.
Yeah. Apparently that's also happening here though. Have you read those stories?
I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't really, like, I don't specifically know. I've always just like seen somebody with their kid like asking for money and wondered about that.
Yeah. There's like this whole like ring of women, apparently. I don't know if it's in New York, but they like stand on these different corners with these different kids. And like, of course, some asshole was like, I'm going to follow her, and like then followed her. And it was like she reports to some main guy.
Oh,
but
wow.
they just kind of like give the kids back. And then they just like kind of go from like corner to grocery store and like do this whole thing.
The kid dispatcher.
Yeah.
Wow. That is the fucking bottom of the barrel behavior.
I know.
Jesus.
Do you believe people, like when you see people, are you a give money to people kind of guy?
Like it depends on the day. So
Yeah.
like if I have a single on me that has no purpose, like absolutely. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like if I, or if I have change, or if like I feel bad for somebody in particular. I mean, as you know, living here, if you were to give every single person money, you would have no more money.
You couldn't live here.
You couldn't do it. So yeah, I pick and choose. I also think like, yeah, I sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. I don't know. What about you?
I do, but I have been got so many times. I'm very gullible. So like there was a guy who I remember seeing, and I walked by him and he was like crying. And he was just very softly being like, no, I can't, no, I don't know what I'm doing. Like he was very softly just like whimpering and saying sad things.
It's pretty sad.
It was very sad. And so I was like, I'm going to fix the world. I went into a bank and I pulled out a 20 and I did 2 10s and I gave him $10.
Oh, wow.
But when I got closer to him, it was very clear that this man was not sad. Like I was like,
he was just working you.
100%. Like I was like, oh, this guy is not. And then I saw him again, like in the bank on a cell phone. And I was like, well, okay.
Oh boy.
Like one
depositing
of those.
the 10.
Yes. Putting it right into the bank account, into his 401k, into his portfolio. No, but I've seen that guy now a few times because he's in Soho a lot.
Okay.
But my friend was telling me this story. This is why he said never to do it. He said when he was a kid, there was a guy that had like no arms outside of a grocery store where he grew up. And he was saying like him and his friends one day, they like gathered all this money and decided